Hello there, it's Samantha. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. My name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Today I'm coming to you with another one of my end of the year / beginning of the year videos, which should have gone up earlier on in the month, but of course I was unprepared. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 books that I want to read this year. Now, I make a video like this every year. I've done it for like a couple of years and I always fail. I never read all 10, but I'm really hoping that this year I actually read all 10 from my list. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to read these books, but I hope that I'm going to read them. Also, almost all of these books are on my physical TBR, and if you saw my goals and statistics video, then you'll know that I'm trying to get my physical TBR down to 10 books. So I'm hoping that I do read these because then hopefully my TBR will be all the way down to 10. So yeah, the majority of these are on my physical TBR. Some of these are pretty old releases that I still need to read, and some of them are books that came out last year, which I still haven't got to. Let's just talk about the 10 books that I want to read this year, and fingers crossed that I actually do it for once. So the first book on my list is one that I do actually physically own, but it's not with me here. It's at university, and I can't go back to university at the moment, so I don't have it with me, but that is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I do not know what this book is about, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with like a magical library or something like that, and like books go missing or something like that. I don't know. I know that it has some sort of focus on books. I know that it's set in Spain, I believe, or at least the author is Spanish. I know that. And I've just heard a lot of really good things about this book. I have heard that it's pretty slow, but as I said in my goals video, I'm actually hoping to read less books this year and pick up those books that are a little bit slower because I tend to avoid them so that I can read more, which is not great. So yeah, I really hope to get to this one this year because I said I was going to read it last year. And I did. The next book on my list is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I also own this one, but again, it's at uni, so I don't have it with me. But I've heard nothing but good things about this series, and I know that Elena from Elena the Great, whose opinions I trust, she adores this trilogy, and so I really want to get to it. I'm really hoping to get to this one at some point this year. It's probably gonna be during the summer after I graduate. I will read this book this year. I'm gonna do it. The next book on my list is another one that I own physically, but again, it's at uni. But that is the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu. I'm actually hoping to read all 3 books this year, as long as I like the first one, which I think I will, because the premise sounds so good. This is a series that came out like in the early 2010s. I think it was like 2013 or 14. And when I first started BookTube, this series was everywhere. And I actually didn't even know what it was about, but I bought it, which was stupid. But I recently actually read a synopsis and was like, oh, this sounds really good. So I really want to get to it this year. Also, if I read it and love it, then that will be 3 books off of my TBR, which is the goal. I definitely want to get to this one this year, hopefully. The next book on my list is another one that again is at university, and that is One Dark Throne by Kendara Blake. I actually want to reread the first book, which is Three Dark Grounds, and then continue on with the series because basically I like left a year in between reading the first book and then trying to read the second book, which is One Dark Throne, and then I just could not remember anything about it. So I really want to go back and reread the first book because I really enjoyed it, and then continue on and hopefully finish the series because I think I'll really enjoy it, and I've heard that the series just gets better and better, so I'm hoping to reread the first book and continue on. The next one is actually similar, except I don't actually own any of the rest of the books in the series, so I'd have to get them. But I really want to reread Truth Witch this year and continue on with that series because I loved the first book and I think it's such an underrated series. I never hear anyone talking about it really, like very few people talk about it, and I really loved the first book. But again, it's been quite a while since I read that, so I would have to reread that and then buy the next books, which is not ideal because I would add to my TBR, but I do want to continue on. I also think that the series might be wrapping up this year potentially, so I'd quite like to get onto that pretty soon. The next book on my list is one that I actually cannot believe I didn't read last year, and that's Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. I don't know why, but when this book was coming out, I just was not interested in it. I was like, whatever, I'm kind of over Sarah J Maas, because I think at the time I was finishing off the Throne of Glass series, and I was kind of just like, I'm a little bit bored of this, so I wasn't like that excited for it. But I've heard so many great reviews for this book, so I just feel like I need to read it to find out what all the hype is about. I'm hoping to get to it at some point this year. I will get to it. I will. Yes, I will read it. The next book on my list is an ebook that I have, and that is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I meant to read this last year for a book club, and I just never got to it because I was busy doing other things. But I know that this book is about a girl who is just about to go to university, I think, or maybe she's like in her first year of uni, something like that. And so I feel like I want to read this as soon as possible because I'm going to be graduating in the summer. And so I'd like to read this while it's still kind of relevant to my life a little bit. Even though obviously I'm almost done uni, I still think that this book is going to be more relevant to me now than it will be be like a couple years down the line, and I've just heard really great things about this book. So ideally, no, not ideally, I will get to it this year. I'm going to. The next book on my list is kind of a cop-out because I'm already currently reading it, but I put it on here for that reason, because now I know that I will read at least one of the books on this list. And that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I had no idea what this book was about, but I kept on hearing really great things about it. So I put it on my wish list, and the wonderful Elena got it for me for my birthday. And I'm like 200 pages in, and I still don't really know that much about what's going on, but I'm starting to understand things. The world building in this is definitely interesting, but I will be finishing this probably pretty soon because I think it's starting to pick up a lot at this point, and I've heard that the rest of this book is just wild, so I'm really excited to continue on. I know that I'll be reading this, so that's why I put it on this list, because I'm a little scamp. Anyway, next book on my list is one that I put on my list last year, and did I get to it? No, I did not. Anyway, but I'm determined this year. It will happen. Hopefully, like, either later this month or in February, because I know this is kind of a wintry book. But that is The Star of the Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I don't have the dust jacket because I left it at uni, and I don't know when I'm going to go back. Hopefully soon. Anyway, yes, so I apologize that there's no cover on this. This is The Star of the Sea. I still don't really know what this book is about, even though I've owned it for like over a year now. But I've heard mostly good things about this book, and I know that it's best to read it during winter, so I'm trying to prioritize this on my list and read it within the next couple of months, and if I don't, then I'll have to save it for the end of the year, but I will get to it this year for sure, because I meant to read it last year and I didn't. I will be reading it this year, I promise. And the final one on my list is one that I really wanted to get to last year, but I didn't actually own it. I only bought it in like the last week of December, but I treated myself finally to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which this is the most gorgeous cover. I'm sorry, but the American cover has nothing on this cover. But I'm sure you know what this book is all about, because this book has been so talked about in the last couple of months since it came out. I feel like most people have read it at this point and either really enjoyed it or not enjoyed it, but most of the criticism I've heard about it has been about the fact that it doesn't have like the most action-packed plot and it's more about characters. But I personally really enjoy like character-based stories, so I think I'm gonna love it because, as I said, I like character-based stories. Like, the plot is not the biggest deal to me if the characters are fantastic. Yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I've enjoyed most of the stuff I've read from V.E. Schwab, so I think I will also enjoy this. And I will get to it this year, in the next couple of months, I hope. Anyway, so those are the 10 books that I'm hoping to read this year. I think that I can do it because I'm excited about all of the books that I talked about. I'm hoping that I actually get to it. And as I said, I'm trying to get my physical TBR down to 10, and the majority of these are books that I already own, so I think it's definitely doable. But yeah, let me know what books you're prioritizing this year. I would love to know. But that's all I have for this video, so I hope you liked it, and if you did, please hit a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below, and I upload videos on Sundays, so I will see you next Sunday. Bye.
As you said, who knows what this year will hold for me, and I almost went, hopefully a boyfriend.
Oh my god. But yeah,